We are live back out at Smitty's Place in Elyria here on the Lorain County Sports Network. So happy to have you along for the ride here on YouTube. Andy Bolbarge joined alongside Jared Vinecourt. Edwin Vereen, the captain of our ship. He's the director tonight. We've got Max Drummond working the camera. Dave Rivera is here as well. We're having a great time out here at Smitty's. Make sure you stop on by. The parking lot was nice and full. We came in. Got the Smitty burger, of course, roasted corn and shrimp chowder, mac and cheese bites, sauerkraut balls, boom, boom shrimp. What more could you ask for? We've got the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show today. Mother Nature's sort of cooperating, right? I mean, there's a lot of sunshine out there, but it's a little chilly.
Yeah, a little windy, a little chilly, but at least there's sunshine. That's the important part.
Yeah, there's plenty of that to go around, and because of that, I think there are actually some games going on across the area today as a result. So we've got a lot of coaches lined up. Should have a lot to talk about as we start to open things up in softball. Some teams have already opened up in softball. And look, this is a terrific area when you talk about the softball scene. It seems like every single year there is not just a team, but teams end up making very deep runs.
They make deep runs in the tournament, state runs. A lot of Lorain County teams ranked high. Looking forward to this softball season.
Should be a lot of fun. Look, nice years last year for both North Ridgeville and Amherst, both making their way to the regionals. Firelands surprised a lot of people. I mean, Keystone is always in the mix. You know that every single year. There's some new faces as well. So let's dive right into it. You're going to talk about a Lorain County softball coaches show. You got to start with a guy with all sorts of experience, a legend, no doubt about that. Jim Piazza, no longer donning the Keystone Purple. He's got the EC green and white. Coach, great to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
Well, so many things to talk about. One of the things I love about going to Elyria Catholic, man, you get treated like gold. I went to do a football game there this past fall. Coach Piazza rolls over, the golf cart picks me up, takes me over to that brand new press box. Great stuff.
We had our names on there, too. They gave us Chick-fil-A. It was a sight to see, man.
Well, we always want to appreciate people covering us, so we want to make sure we take care of you so you come back.
Well, familiar territory for you as you're coaching yet again, so great to see you back on the bench. And, when did you decide it was time to get back in the box and coach again?
Yeah, it was just something that we kind of looked at, and we made a decision, and we were looking for a coach, and it's something that filled in, and looking forward to this season.
And I think when you look back at the way last season ended, a great season indeed, 19 wins, 7 losses. You guys ran roughshod over the conference, going 14-1. What you heard a lot from people in that district semi-loss was that there's still so much room to grow, and the future of the program is definitely bright. I want to give you a chance to elaborate on just how bright that future is.
Well, that is the great thing about this group of kids. You look at it, we have 2 seniors, and so we still have a bunch of underclassmen, but they're underclassmen with a lot of experience. And they are working really hard for this season. That they had a bad taste in their mouth getting knocked out in the district semis. So they're willing to learn and put the time in. They're trusting our process. We've started off with our 3 scrimmages and with the 2 games, and the system is working pretty well. We've played a couple of really nice teams and hitting the ball really well. But I think the credit goes to these kids. They're putting the time in. They have a goal now, and they have a vision of where they want to go, and we're just excited for them to hopefully go as far as we can in the tournament.
You talk about underclassmen. Sophomore Jessica Connor, she had a great freshman season. She's a dog. Talk about how her season evolved last year and what do you expect from her for this season?
That's the funny part. I had a conversation with Jess, and that's one thing is she understands that she even has farther to go, and that's scary. And I told her that's really scary that, you're almost hitting 600. You're leading the team in RBIs. You're a leader. You're covering a lot of ground in the defensive end, and you're still not even at your peak, and that's scary. And we have another one, Nadia Pagan, who, had a good year last year, but now she's in our leadoff spot, and she's starting our offense going, and she's a warrior. I mean, this kid is going to be one of the top players in the state also, and you got Kaylee Tomash in the circle as a sophomore, and I think one of the sleeper kids in the area is going to be Lillian Syriac. She had a great year last year, but this kid has put a lot of time and effort in, and she's becoming a great leader for us. I think she's 8 for 8 to start the season, and with a bunch of and she already has a home run. She had one off the fence yesterday again. So I mean, the talent's there. In our seniors, obviously, with Hannah Brooks and Harper Morgan, so there's a good mixture. We have good leadership with our seniors, but, our underclassmen aren't afraid to lead either, and everybody's coming together as a group, and that's the key to be successful.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about this group. You talked about some of the girls you'll use in the circle this year. You figure like that might be one of your strengths. You talked about the offense, but how strong do you think you guys are in the circle this season?
I mean, with those two, we're in great shape. And the thing is, they're two really good pitchers, but they're different. And so right now what we've been doing is splitting them half and half, and they're in the game. So when people start timing up the one, the other one comes in, it's a whole different style. So, and I know that that's the first key to be successful in softball. That and then having an offense. And this group with the pitchers, we keep telling them with the offense that we have, you should be so relaxed. So you have a bad inning, who cares? Our offense is picking it up, and that's what actually happened in our first two games. We gave up 3 runs in one inning in both games, but we came back and scored 4 and 5 right after that. So as a pitcher, you're like, okay, I had a mistake, no big deal. It's not a lot of pressure on you when you have an offense like we have.
You mentioned senior Hannah Brooks. What type of leadership do you expect from her, and just expect for her in her final senior season this season?
Hannah, it's been great to watch because she's matured so much, and she was always, she was mature as a freshman, but the more she's getting, and she's being more comfortable as a senior leader because, a lot of these kids go through a lot of pressure of, I got to get this Division I scholarship, or I got to get this, and it takes a toll on these kids, and they don't get a chance to just enjoy the game the way it's supposed to be. Now with all that out of the way, I'm seeing her being more relaxed and becoming even a better player than what she already is, and she's probably one of the best that I've seen in a long time as far as defensively, offensively, the way she carries herself, and strong arm. She's got all the tools.
Well, we talked with Coach Lisicki about this a couple of days ago, but of course the new conference obviously presents a lot of exciting new challenges for you, one of them being the travel, going to CVCA all the way down in the Akron area, all the way out to Chardon. You're taking on NDCL, and of course you've got Lake Catholic, so lots of really nice long bus trips for you also, but what's exciting to you about that new venture?
The thing I like about it is just the competition. Day in, day out, you're going to have to be ready to play, and that's one of the things I've always liked, that, you challenge the kids. And it's okay to, go there and just know that all we have to do is we have to give our best every single time. And if you don't, that's great. We're going to learn because we're not here for the beginning. We're here for the end. And we want to go as deep as we possibly can in the tournament, and that's our ultimate goal. So we're not afraid to fail during the season so we can learn from those mistakes to get ready for the tournament. And, when you can have a group of kids that are not worried about pressure and just play, it's dangerous.
And that seems to be the thing with a lot of your teams in the past, right? You're not necessarily worried about what happens to some degree in March and in April. It's more about what happens in May, and in some cases deeper into the season and in June, too.
Right.
We've been down that road many times
Right.
before. So when you examine this team and the way things ended last year, we talked about it a little bit earlier, that loss to Springfield in the district semi. There's always something, I think, that a group learns from that. And there's a lot coming back from that team. Mm-hmm. What do you think they learned from that experience?
I think they learned that, you gotta stay focused for the whole time. And the effort has to be there for all 7 innings until the final out is done. And I think they understand that now. Like, it's not something you can just show up and then hope, it's not a travel ball game where you can just show up, play, got another game no matter what happens if you win or lose. And that's the thing that's so great about Ohio high school softball is you're one and done. If you lose, you're done. And so you got to be as focused as you possibly can. And I think they learned that from that game, like, this is it. It's over. And so we want to make sure that we continue to stay focused day in, day out so we can get to that ultimate goal of getting to the state championship game.
You guys have stayed focused so far in your first 2 games. You faced Avon Lake and Midview, won both those games. What did you learn from those first 2 games?
I learned that we can really hit the ball, and they made adjustments. They bought into our system of how we simplified hitting, and I know that our defense has been there, and we can bounce back after a bad inning and not worry about it, not let it carry over. And so this team is getting focused, and we're not even at our potential. I mean, we had 4 errors in that Midview game, and but we bounce back every time. We got a double play to get out of the inning with bases loaded, you know, and that was huge. And then you could just see the momentum, like, oh, okay, it is okay to fail, you know. And so I think that's the big key that we have is this team is learning how to handle failure.
You've had so many wonderful teams in your incredible career, and it's kind of hard to answer this, but I'll ask it anyways. I mean, even though it's only been a couple of games, you've been around this group for a while now. Does this group remind you of any of the groups that you've had in years past?
So it's funny that you say that, and I hate, you know, this is no disrespect to any of those other teams that we had, but this team is very athletic, very strong. I could put them up with a lot of our Keystone Power teams, and I told them that, and I'm trying to get them to believe in that because I've seen some things that they can do. As a team right now, we're batting over 500 in our scrimmages. We've outscored them 72 to 10. We've had 18 home runs, so with the 2 regular season and the scrimmages. So if they can believe in what they're doing and understand how good they really are, and I think we're getting it. And we're not even close to where we need. We still have some things to fix. So I hope they believe in that, and we continue, and hopefully you guys will see us in Akron in June. That's our goal right now.
Talk about pouring the offense on 18 home runs already. That's incredible.
Right, yeah, and that's what I said. We've had 8, I think, in the one game, and we had Hannah Brooks, the first game was 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. Jessica Connor's second game was 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. But we're not even just talking those 2. Like I said, we had, I think, 6 different people that have home runs already. So we had yesterday Harper Morgan hit a 2-run home run to end it with 11 runs in the 6th inning. So it's everybody's ready to go in that batter's box, and we understand that's when it's fun. That's what we put this time into. So go enjoy your work, you know. And I think a lot of people put so much pressure on. I got to do this, I got to do that, and they're not enjoying it. And we're trying to get them to enjoy what they're doing during the games, and because that's what they practice for. That's why they play all this travel ball. They need that. They need that results to see, oh, okay, this is supposed to be fun, and we can have fun and be successful.
I think you bring up a great point because you see a lot of professional softball players. They're just playing a kid's game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes, especially high schoolers, they forget that, why they fell in love with the game in the first place.
Right, and we tell them, the only 2 things that you can worry about is attitude and effort. That's it. Everything else you can't control. And, you know, the first practice I told them, I said, what I want you guys to come back to is, remember when you first started, the most exciting part was getting your snack after the game. And I want you to get back to that. You know, go out and enjoy yourselves because you're only here for 4 years. And if you're sitting here worrying about, oh, I had 1 error. Well, tell me one player in the history of the game of baseball and softball that never made an error. Tell me somebody that got a hit. This game is made for you to fail. And if you can get that through, if you hit 300 in the major leagues, you're in the Hall of Fame. So, you know, who cares? You made 1 out. You're going to come up in a crucial time of the game, and if you're worrying about that, you're not going to be successful. But if you stay focused, you're going to be the hero. And I think we're getting that across. And I think that's the main thing that we really are focusing on, the mental part of the game.
I wish I could go back and get that mentality entrenched into my brain, too, when it was okay to just think about snack at the end of the game, right?
I'll tell you what, when I was a little kid, I always looked forward to Capri Suns after the game. That was the drink of choice.
That's it. And so we do. We have a snack bucket in our dugout, and we keep it there so they can eat during the game and keep their energy up. And, you know, they got to pick their favorite snack, and we put it in the dugout for them. And that's something we've always done. And, you know, here's something new, and they're excited about it. You know, it's just little things like that, you know, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun and enjoy. And shouldn't have that pressure of, I got to succeed, you know. And because when you force it, you know you fail, right? You know, so you got to be realistic and go out there and just whatever happens, happens.
So you have a lot more than sunflower seeds and gum in there, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
All this talk about snacks has me thinking about that hospitality room at the previous tournament, which leads us to our next talking point here. If you've never been, it really is an outstanding setup. The previous tournament, every single year, it brings in the best of the best in the state of Ohio to Lorain County. As far as softball goes, that's really the premier tournament. And if you cover it, you get to go to the hospitality suite.
Yeah.
Lights out, man. Just fantastic. So let's talk about this year's previous tournament. When's it taking place? Is it still going to be part of it at Victory Park and part of it over at LaGrange?
Correct. You know, it's April 25th and 26th, and there will be part at LaGrange and part at Victory Park. And again, we have a great lineup of teams. It's awesome for me because it's something we started a long time ago. I think we're on 15th year now or whatever, but to still be able to honor the previous family, but also give everybody some great shows for softball. And, we're getting a waiting list. I mean, I get calls all the time, so it's really nice. Like some teams going, hey, I've got a really good pitcher this year. We're going to be great. Can I get in? Okay, yeah, because that's what we want. We want the best teams to be there and everybody get to see. Plus, I like it that Lorain County gets to see some of these other schools, especially right before tournament time. That's the whole point of it. When we started it was we wanted to get ready for tournament time, and you wanted to be able to see really good teams every time. So, now it's grown. It went from 10 teams to 40 teams. So it's just awesome for me because that's something I always took pride in. I loved it because it was my way to honor the previous family, but it was also great for all of our teams to get ready for the tournament and get to watch some great softball.
With teams on the waiting list, do you think this could expand more than 2 days in the future?
Oh, it could, because we have the space. I mean, like I said, with Victory Park, that was the whole point where we moved a lot of teams there was because they have lights. And they have 7 diamonds. And Keystone with 5, out in LaGrange, they don't have lights, so we're able to do it. But we could still put some more teams in if we really had to. The other problem is umpires. You got to be careful to go too big because, we're already getting that shortage of umpires. And, and I hope we get some more, but, we got to be careful where we're not going to have enough coverage to umpire the games.
The timing I always thought was fascinating too, because you mentioned it's so close to the tournament. Also seems like in years past that tournament's taken place right before the tournament draw. So it's a chance really to jockey for position too. Right,
and that's exactly the point too, is, so that you're going in there and then you go to that draw and like, oh boy, we faced them. We want to go the other way or whatever. And, or, hey, we handled them, so let's go on the board first and see where they go. Maybe they think they, so you can use that for your momentum too. But it's really good to see, with our schedule, even at Elyria Catholic this year, I kind of looked at who has what pitchers, what type of pitchers they throw. So our kids get an opportunity to see every type of pitching you can instead of saying, oh, this girl throws hard. Well, what happens if you go against somebody that doesn't? So you got to prepare. This is a curveball pitcher, so we want to go see this pitcher. So we're preparing our kids to see everything. So when that tournament comes, we saw that, and when we played this person. So that's the other part of it. So when you go to see these best pitchers and you're playing, you're prepared for the tournament for that too.
Friday, April 25th, Saturday, April 26th, right? Those are the dates?
That is correct.
Outstanding. Well, for those who haven't been to Priebus, really is a sight to see. It is fantastic. Coach, pleasure as always, my friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for doing this.
Great
appreciate
to have you on here to lead things off for us. That's Jim Piazza, head coach with the Elyria Catholic Panthers. You mentioned they've got 2 games under their belt already, putting up video game type numbers. I know dudes that have been playing MLB The Show 25 for 2 or 3 days now. They can't put up numbers like that.
I never could. I was never good at sports games on the Xbox.
All right.
Well, Xbox for me.
Well, PS5, Xbox, PC, whatever the case may be. We read you. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We're coming your way live from Smitty's Place in Elyria for the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. We're live on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. 2025 Lorain County Softball Coaches Show here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. We're on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us to make sure you can catch us every time we're live. We have more events coming up. We'll dive into that just a little bit later on. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bullbarch. Having a blast here so far, man. Been talking video games and food and the whole 9 yards.
It's favorite thing.
Right, can't beat that. Well, we've got our next coach lined up. Off to my left, Anna Saxton with the Keystone Wildcats. Coach, congratulations on getting the Keystone job. You've got a couple of games under your belt already, and well, lots to talk about here because Keystone, as everybody knows, a perennial powerhouse every single year. And you're taking over a team that had 18 wins a year ago, went 12-1 in the LCA, fell in that district semi to Waynedale. What kind of motivation do you think that loss in the district semi gave the girls?
You know, these girls have come a far way, right? We have 4 returners that were a part of that process, and I mean, the tradition is what continues to drive us, and it'll always drive us. So I know our girls are hungry. They're ready to start the season. We're ready for tournament time, and we are just focusing on getting better and playing our game every single day.
Before we jumped on, you mentioned you've been a part of the program and the part of the staff for the last 5 years. This is your first go-around, though, as a head coach. What kinds of things do you think you're learning or have already learned along the way?
You know, I've been a player of the game. I've played my whole life, and coaching is definitely a different aspect for sure. One of the things I'm learning is understanding how the game has continued to change, where our girls' mental states have continued to change because it was a lot different when I was a player. And, you know, these girls are strong. They're strong-willed. They have a strong mind. But that has been, I think, the biggest attribute in the game so far, different from when I was a player.
As we mentioned, your first year as a head coach, what are some goals you want to achieve for Keystone besides the Keystone reputation that we all know?
So, you know, the Keystone tradition is something that will long be fulfilled. And my goal is to continue that success for time after time again. And so our goal is to obviously focus on ourselves, remembering the past and fulfilling that tradition. But we totally intend to find that state championship time and time again. That'll always be our goal.
Let's take a look at some of the names we should be looking out for this season. Well, you have a lot of all-district and all-county returnees. Who are some of these names we should be looking out for?
So, you know, Anna Wright, our starting shortstop, powerhouse last year. She will be back this year, stronger than ever. Brooklyn Modoc. So far in our season, Brooklyn Modoc was our Lorain County Pitcher of the Year last year. She has found herself in our starting lineup as a third baseman this year. So it's a role we've actually needed to fill. We've had someone who moved into district from Midview, Samantha Pugh. So she's been in the circle for us for the past couple of games, and she has totally carried her weight in the tradition. And, you know, Brooklyn Modoc will obviously be in that circle as well. So our future, right? We have some dominant freshmen coming in as well. Erilyn Gold, Ava Armitage will be some powerhouses at the plate. And so we are excited to, you know, take the past and then continue that with our current.
And it's always interesting when you take a look at what goes on early in the season, because some coaches say, look, early in the season it's great to get out there and get the experience, but by the time you get to May, you can throw what happened in early in the season right out the window. It's cold outside.
Right.
You guys have played a couple of games. You played Avon on Monday. It was cold outside on Monday. So what do you think the girls have learned from playing in these 2 early games in frigid conditions?
Right, like I mentioned earlier, like we play for tournament time. We are grateful to experience great teams like Avon and Olmsted Falls, and we know that it's cold in March, but it's cold in March for both teams. So we're going to continue to control what we can control, and we're just going to use that as a driving force to continue through our season and prepare for our tournament.
LCA, it's such a tough conference. You guys unfortunately suffered your first loss in conference play to Firelands last year since 2016. How do you recuperate from that loss to Firelands and trying to have a great conference record again?
Oh, we're fired up. We are excited to excel. We're going to reach our goals. We're going to win the conference. We have our eyes set on the prize. We're fired up.
The youth program is something that always gets brought up when you're talking about Keystone. I know we talked with Coach Gibson about that on last year's show. You know, talk about just how strong that is and how much, I don't want to say easier, but how much more simpler that'll make things for you as the head coach, knowing just how strong that community program is.
Absolutely. So our middle school program right now, we have 3 teams. We have an 8th grade team, a 7th grade team, and a 6th grade team. So we have 32 girls contributing to that program. It's really cool to see. The girls are also fired up. They know what it means to wear cats across their chest, and it's really fun to feel that energy when you go on the field.
Well, it is early, but you mentioned you did have a couple of games already. What are some of your major takeaways from what you have seen in the early stages of the season?
Major takeaway, we're young. I've got 4 starters that are returning. Everyone else is brand new to a varsity program, and so we are going to control what we can control, and we're going to continue to gain that experience as the season moves on. But our biggest takeaway is we're young. It's not an excuse, but it's something that we're definitely growing through.
Well, you mentioned to us here hitting, speed, and base running, 3 things that you guys are really excited about. I want to give you a chance to kind of expand on that and talk about why those 3 things you think will pace you this season.
Absolutely. So our lineup, our batting lineup, our stats don't really prove it yet, but we're early in the season. We've got a strong batting lineup. It's that confidence piece that'll come into play as the season progresses. But, I mean, our leadoff batter, Jordan Oka, is probably one of the fastest girls in the state of Ohio. 27 stolen bases last year. I think she can easily get to 30 this year. She's a speedster, so that is a great attribute to our offensive strategy. Followed by Brooklyn Modoc, who is a very strategic player. She could just do about anything you would need her to do at the plate, and followed by Anna Wright, Erilyn Gould, Bristol Foster, Ava Armitage. I mean, 4 power hitters right there.
Jeez, oh man, you guys are stacked there with the bats, no question about that. Do you guys take any trips down south?
Not this year. Totally intend on going to Myrtle Beach again next spring. It's a great tradition in Keystone softball, so we plan on continuing that.
Well, the good news is you guys will play this weekend. I know it's supposed to slowly start getting better tomorrow. Temperatures in the 60s, maybe the 70s over the weekend, so maybe no Myrtle Beach, but it'll be a little nicer this weekend, right?
It's Northeast Ohio. We know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, no question about that. Well, Coach, best of luck this year. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Keystone head coach Anna Saxton joining us here on the
Thank
Lorain County Softball Coaches Show, coming your way from Smitty's Place in Elyria. We're live on YouTube tonight on the Lorain County Sports Network. Talking softball on the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show here at Smitty's Place in Elyria, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bolbarge, and lots of coaches are showing up here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. And next up, we've got Ken Matusak with the Avon Eagles. Coach, great to see you. How are you?
Oh, thanks. Very, very, very good.
Great start to the season so far. You guys are playing incredibly well. A nice lopsided win over Keystone a couple of days ago. We're going to come back around and talk about the facility. You guys do something that a lot of schools in the area don't get to do, and that's play your home games on turf. But let's focus on what's gone so right for you guys over the first couple games.
Well, we had a really, really good preseason. We had an incoming freshman, Maria Young, who is our main pitcher, and she's just done outstanding so far. We played a tough preseason schedule to get us ready for the regular season.
I'm glad you brought her up because we certainly had her circled. We wanted to talk about her, just a freshman. But, I mean, she's been sensational in the circle these first few games. What's made her so good?
Her location, and she throws pretty hard. But she keeps the ball down low, and she throws really hard, and she doesn't walk very many people. Strikes out a lot of people.
Now, is that something you guys knew that you had in your back pocket going into the season? Because you never really know with a freshman, do you?
That's correct. And she didn't play middle school softball for us last year. She played on her travel team, and so a lot of people in the area don't know who she is. We sure did. So we knew she was coming. So she's a great addition.
You guys are 3-0 to start the season, had a big win against Keystone, Elyria. What are some good things that you've seen from those 3 wins and some things you still want to work on?
Well, I think softball is all about pitching and defense, and our defense has been playing very, very well. And obviously Maria's been pitching very well as well. But our hitting has surprised us. We're like the Bronx Bombers out there. We hit the ball out, and our leadoff hitter, Jocelyn Oakes, has 3 home runs to start off the season, had 1 in the preseason. We had another softball outfielder that had a home run. So we hit the ball hard. We had 14 hits last night against Elyria, a very quality team as well.
And there are so many individuals I certainly want to hit on, but you mentioned Jocelyn Oakes. She had the 2 home run game for you guys in that win over Keystone. Did you guys always know she had that kind of pop, or is this a bit of a surprise?
A little bit of a surprise, but credit to her, and all our players have bought into our weight room philosophy, and she's one of them. Her dad's a football coach and our middle school softball coach, and she has a lot of power in her bat. She's very fast, and she led off the game against Keystone with a home run, and she hit the last home run to put away Keystone in the 5th inning.
What are some of the expectations for Lorain Fisher and Amelia Holbrook?
Well, Amelia Holbrook is not playing this year. She decided not to play, but Lorain Fisher is our center fielder. She's a 4-year starter. She was on that regional runner-up team in 2022, and she's been doing well so far. We put her in the second hole, and we put Jocelyn Oakes in as our leadoff hitter now.
You have youth and pitching and catching clinics going on in the community. What does it mean to get involved with those kids in the community early?
I'm glad you asked that. We had a really good winter clinic with our girls. We had 93 second graders through 8th graders come to our winter clinic, which was outstanding. It was the biggest we've ever had. We had a former player who played in college. Her name was Brittany Fowler when she pitched for us back in about 2010, 2011. Went on to pitch 4 years at Marshall. She's been doing our pitching clinics. She's a T3 instructor, along with her husband, who's a professional baseball player, J.D. Hammer. And she did a fall clinic.
She's Hammer's wife?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2 years ago, I was doing the Crusher games, and, of course, Hammer was a huge part of that staff before the Rocky side of it.
That's correct. Yeah. Really, really nice couple. But Brittany played for us, and she came back, and she wants to donate time and pay forward. And she did a fall clinic with 20 of our pitchers, helped us with our winter clinic, and then we did a free clinic for all the pitchers and catchers in our Avon Little League. So things are going well there.
That's great. Glad to hear.
Yes.
It tells you about the pedigree of the program. You know, not just the program, the community, too. And I know that's something that doesn't ever get overlooked, just how strong that community is.
It is. And when we can talk about the facility there, it takes the community to put that in. And the community put that in about 5 years ago. And I think it's one of the best fields around. There is some downfalls to that because you play in the cold. And we played Keystone, and we played Brookside in the cold. If it rains a little bit, as long as it's not raining and the pitchers can hold on the ball, you're playing. Play in the snow. So, but playing on that facility, it's fast, it's quick, and it's great. Our girls are used to it, and we love it.
Let's stick with that facility because I know that presents a lot of challenges for teams that don't normally get the chance to play on that. I remember my first bit of softball on turf happened about 10 years ago, and I remember coaches saying over and over and over again, I don't know that we can play softball on turf. It's just so hard to do. If you have that as your home facility, it's a huge advantage because I think the first time you set foot on it, you're not quite sure how to react. I mean, sure, some of the hops might be nice and natural, but it gets on you pretty quick, doesn't it?
It does. One of the things that I had noticed that opposing teams have a hard time with is sliding. They slide past the base.
Yes.
When you're playing third base or first base, that ball's on you. And if it gets in the gap, it rolls all over to the wall. And we have a deep fence, 210 feet away. So a lot of teams struggle with that. And sometimes we'll go practice on our JV field way down in the end. It's dirt. So we have to get used to playing on dirt. But I know a lot of tournament games will play on turf.
You mentioned the sliding. Are you seeing the game evolve where people are going head first more often?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we have those talks. I am not an advocate for head first, especially in home plate for sure. And we have several players, including Jocelyn Oaks and others, that slide in head first. I think it's dangerous. I don't teach that. I like the pop-up slide just in case the ball gets away. But I see more and more players head first.
And it's a little bit easier, I think, to stop, right?
Correct.
It can be kind of tough. Well, you mentioned that that always gets overlooked when you're
Yes.
talking about playing on turf,
Yep.
especially when it gets wet. You come out there after there's a little bit of water on that turf, it is real easy to slide right by the bag.
It
It's
is.
so simple to do. And I know we talked about this a little bit in our conversation last year, but in softball, you see a lot of kids bunt for base hits or attempt to. You can't really do that on turf, can you?
No, the ball rolls pretty fast to the third baseman or first baseman. Something on the dirt would die in the dirt and spin it in the dirt. It doesn't do that on turf.
Yeah, it's different. It's
Yes.
just it's way different. And I know for you, going into those games, you kind of have an idea as to how that's going to affect you. Do you find that it's tough for other coaches to kind of grasp that at first?
Yeah, if you don't practice on it, we practice on it every day, so we got to understand where the ball is going to go and how it's going to react on the field.
It's always interesting to see how the facility plays a big role, but playing on turf obviously has tons and tons of advantages if you do it enough. But I think the obvious advantage is you can play games on almost any given day. Like you said, unless it's bitter cold,
Right.
or if it rains too much, you're always practicing, you're always playing. If you're north of the Mason-Dixon line, chances are you don't get that advantage.
Especially in practice in the preseason, we're out a week before everybody else at least. And we'll go out there for an hour and then walk back into school, even if it's really cold, to throw the ball around. That's a huge advantage to us. And again, I'll thank the Avon community.
Now, because you have a turf surface, you don't necessarily have to go south, but are you guys planning any trips for the season or no?
No, we are not. We're going to play in the previous tournament as we usually do, and that's always a tough non-conference games and gets us ready for the tournament. But no, we're not going to go down south.
So we had talked a little bit earlier with Coach Piazza about that. But, I mean, look, I think playing in that tournament, it's such a huge thrill for a lot of teams in Lorain County to do that. But, from a coach's perspective, we talked with Coach Piazza about it. He puts it all together. But
Yes.
from another coach in the county, your perspective is just how special that previous tournament is.
I love it every year. I know tournament time's coming, and you get to watch all these other teams. It was at I believe it's going to be all at Victory Park this year. It was at Keystone. We were in the middle, and you get to watch 5 games going on and some super talent teams that you normally don't see, and then teams like in 2022 we were watching Holland Springfield ended up playing them in the regional finals. You see other teams that you eventually may see down the road here, and now with this new tournament alignment, you're going to see these teams quicker.
Yeah. Makes a big difference when you can see teams you might potentially see in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, especially
Yes.
because not every team has a huddle account.
Yes, that's true, and especially in like softball and baseball.
Great stuff. Well, Coach, best of luck to you guys
Thank
this
you so
season.
much. Thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
Well, it's always great to have you on. Last year we talked about Baltimore chops amongst many other things. We didn't go down that Earl Weaver rabbit hole. We came
Yes,
close, but
yes.
always great to talk to you, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Pleasure, Coach. Good
Thank
luck
you.
this season.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Ken Matusak with the Avon Eagles stopping by here at Smitty's Place in Elyria on the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. We'll take a timeout and come back with more here in just a moment. We're live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Live on the Lorain County Sports Network is the 2025 Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. We're at Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet. Stop by, get a Smitty burger, roasted corn and shrimp chowder. We got Boom Boom Shrimp. You were hesitant to try that the other night, man.
Yeah.
Got to
I'm a
expand your
seafood
horizons
guy.
a little bit. Yeah.
I'm a seafood guy.
That's good stuff, man. Mac and cheese bites, sauerkraut balls, and much, much more. Stop on by. We'll be here for a while talking to all the area softball coaches. Next up, we've got Elyria head coach Keenan Williams. Coach, great to see you. How are you?
Really good. Really good. Thank you for having me.
Well, you guys are coming off your season opener. You played Avon last night. 5-win season from a year ago. What are some things that you hope that the girls will improve upon from a year ago?
Well, we're trying to get back to Elyria softball. I've been around it for a long time, first time coaching it, but we're just trying to get our level up to where we were, back in the day. So we're trying to be competitive, trying to be aggressive, just preaching, trying to be consistent. So we're just looking to get things back on track for Elyria softball.
We mentioned the opener against Avon. I'm sure a lot of practices leading up to that. What are some things that you see from the girls, not only in the game last night, but in those practices that are encouraging to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, we have put in a lot of work since the fall. We have girls that have taken every opportunity when the gym is open and been there and been working hard. So hopefully we're just confident enough to put some of those things into play, trying to get a mindset of being aggressive. And hopefully we'll play relaxed enough to let our improvement show. So.
You mentioned first time coaching softball, correct?
Yes, high school.
High school softball?
Yeah.
What have you learned so far in the early going of the season as yourself as a coach?
A lot. So I coached a bunch of travel ball, probably 15 years of travel ball, and it's different in travel because you physically can pick your group. So I'm having tryouts and picking girls. Now you kind of, in high school, you're given what you're given, and you just got to make the most out of it. So it's been challenging. We don't have a bunch of girls that play high-level travel ball. So there's a lot of girls that we're teaching the basic softball stuff. But it's been fun. Our girls are buying into what we're doing, and we're excited about where we're going for sure.
Are there any key returners from last season that you know of that you're looking forward to be a contributor for the Pioneers this season?
I have two really good seniors. Peter Alberto and Morgan Palos, my catcher and my shortstop, are really good kids first and foremost, really good students, really hard workers. Both of them are going to play college softball, so we are really leaning on them to help us build the tradition of hard work, and we couldn't ask for two better girls than those two.
You mentioned to us off air senior leadership, speed, hitting, some of your strengths. Kind of talk a little bit more about those. Why do you think those will be your primary strengths this season?
We just got a bunch of girls that are athletic and quick, and that's something that we've been preaching. We got a new strength guy at our school, and he does a really good job with speed and agility. So we have girls that are quick, and we're going to try to take advantage of it and be aggressive at the plate, be aggressive on the bases, and try to put pressure on teams.
Earlier you talked about your catcher and your shortstop, really kind of being the two girls you expect, you hope will lead the way this season, both going on to play college softball. You hear it all the time when they talk about it in the big leagues. You've got to be really strong up the middle defensively because you aren't. Things kind of come apart at the seams. How much do you think that still relates to softball?
Oh, for sure, 100%. Like I said, those two, we couldn't have two better seniors. Our catcher really takes control of the game, really is vocal with our young girls. Our shortstop's the same way. We lean on those guys for leadership, but being strong up the middle, there ain't nothing like it. She had a bunch of put outs against Avon, and I know when the balls hit the shortstop, we're in good shape. So too excited about those two for sure.
You said Palos was your catcher?
Morgan Palos.
Do you give
my shortstop?
Your shortstop. Who's your catcher?
Peter Alberto.
Alberto. Do you give Alberto the freedom to call her own game or no?
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I've called a bunch of games, and I know how I want it called. She's an awesome catcher, and I'm sure she could do it. But I'm just comfortable doing it at least now.
You mentioned the catching. Who is going to be your pitching staff this season?
Grace Blazina is our number one. Man, I'm terrible with my girl's name. Keely Taylor is also our other pitcher. They're both really young, both really inexperienced. So we struggle there a little bit. But I tell you what, they both they're the same. They dug in the fall. They've been pitching with instructors in the fall. They're really improved. Not nowhere near where they're going to be, but they're still really young, still really growing. So they have their struggles, but I think hopefully they're able to show that they've taken a step since last year. They both pitched a bunch last year, so we'll see how they do.
In the Elyria community, you talked about that rich softball tradition. Doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. Coach Fennick was taking his team to that state Final Four over in Akron. Do you get any instruction or any help? Did you hear from Coach Fennick at all? Is he still involved?
So I was blessed enough to watch Coach Fennick forever. My oldest daughter, Alana, played for him, won state championship in '09. She was her center fielder. My middle daughter, Kiera, won state championship on the 2017 team.
Okay.
So I've been around the program forever, watched him, man. He was so good at what he did, and what I loved about it was he would always have his teams peaking at crunch time. So I try to take that from him. I learned so much from him. Actually, between him and Piazza, Jim Piazza coached my daughters as well, and my youngest one won a state championship with Piazza. So being able to learn from them too, there's nothing like it. The two best coaches in the history of this county. So I've been blessed to be able to watch them and learn a ton from both of them guys.
Out of everything you learned from both of them, what was the biggest thing you think you took from both of them?
Ooh, from Jim was just aggressive, man. I love the way he encouraged his kids to be incredibly aggressive. Defensively, offensively, he wanted them swinging the bat. He wanted them taking extra bases. And then Ken was just a tactician as far as defensive fundamentals. And he really dug in, with that. His teams were so good defensively. A lot of small ball from him. He had dominant pitching, so he didn't need but a couple runs, and he knew that. So, he would, small ball. He knew if he could get 2 or 3 runs with his dominant pitching, he was good. So took a lot from both of them guys. Probably the small ball from Kenny, and then Jim's aggressiveness, with his groups.
It's interesting you talk about that with Coach Fennick, because that just seems like the deeper you go on a playoff run, pitching and defense seems to really reign supreme. You don't see many high-scoring affairs when you get further and further into that tournament bracket.
Definitely. That is the formula, and that's why I've been, we talked about it with our pitchers at the end of last season. You are only as good as your pitchers. That's just the way softball is. So we talked about, pitchers get all the glory when they're good. You're going to get all the heat from me until we're good, and we can only be as good as you too. So, yeah, pitching and defense is the biggest thing, and when you got a good one, you got something for sure.
Had your opener against Avon. We've detailed that already. What's next on the docket for you guys, weather permitting, of course?
We got Lorain this week, we got Vermilion this week, and we got Brookside this week. So I think 3 winnable games. Hopefully we can get on a little bit of a roll. Got Olmsted Falls coming next week, but got them 3 to finish out the week, like you said, weather permitting.
Although it's supposed to be nice. We keep a chance of rain, but in the 60s, man, that's going to feel like a tropical heat wave compared to what you guys played in yesterday.
For sure. And yesterday was good, man. I scouted a couple games, and it was 40 and windy. So yesterday it was about mid-40s. It was mild. I'll take yesterday for this time of year. So, but yeah, I think it looks to be mid-50s tomorrow. I think we're going to be in good shape.
Oh, that's this time of year. I'll take 50.
Yeah, you'll take that, especially in March.
Great stuff.
That right.
Coach Williams, a pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Guys so much for the coverage.
Thank you, Coach. Elyria head coach Keenan Williams joining us here on the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. We're coming your way from Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet, talking to all the area softball coaches. A lot of these teams have played some games already, and hopefully they'll get a chance to play a lot of games over the weekend with some nice weather on the horizon. All right, let's take a timeout here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We'll come back with more in just a moment. Live and free on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us. He's Jared Viancourt. Sorry, man. I butchered your name for the first time in the last 48 hours. But Jared Viancourt, Andy Bolbarch. And we are coming your way from Smitty's Place in Elyria, where friends meet, talking Lorain County softball. A lot of teams have already gotten going, and hopefully we'll get a lot more games in over the next 5 to 10 days as the weather continues to cooperate. And we mentioned it when we started the show. You know, a lot of great stories from the softball season a year ago, teams making it all the way to regionals, and we've got the head coach of one of those teams joining us right now, Amy McMillan with the North Ridgeville Rangers. Coach, great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, so many things have gone well for you guys these last 4 or 5 seasons. A 17-win season a year ago, 12 wins in the conference, that SWC, always a meat grinder. Another trip to regionals before you guys fell to Perrysburg, 3-2 in Clyde. What do you think it's going to take this season to get over that hump and get to the Final Four?
Just enjoying the moment. You know, they can't live in the years of past. They have to focus on this season and take care of, you know, our goals and what we want to accomplish and take one game at a time. We can't live in the past.
A year ago, we had talked about Naomi Bottomley, and at the time, you had mentioned that, you know, she was in her first year really kind of taking on the role of, you know, a full-time pitcher, right? And she was an outfielder before that. Still plays some outfield a little bit for you guys, but really you expect her to make a big impact in the circle. She's going to be going to Youngstown State next year. Yep. What are some of her unique characteristics?
She's just a competitor. She just wants to play the game. You know, sometimes it's held against her because of that, just because she just wants it so bad. She's got a drive that, you know, I've seen a lot of girls come in this program. It's my 12th season there. She's just got to drive. I mean, you tell her to do something, she says, all right, coach, what can I do for the team? And she just goes out there and gets it.
Besides Bottomley, who else is going to be contributing to your pitching staff this season that you're really looking forward to seeing?
So we also have Selena Bottomley coming up. She's a freshman this year, so she'll get some time in the circle as well. So they'll split the time. But, you know, with Nay being the senior this year, you know, she may get a majority of the time, but, you know, we're going to make it work. Whatever the team needs at that time, you know, both are willing to jump in there at that time being.
And, of course, we talk about the success you guys have had, especially the last 4 or 5 seasons, consistently making it to regionals. You know, what do you think that experience does for that group that's been a part of this program the last 4 years?
They want it every year. They get hungry every year, and they see where they were the year before, and they want it even more. So a majority of our roster, you know, they've been together for 3 years now, and every year they've been there. We have 3 seniors that have been there. This is going to be the 4th season that they get there, and they're hungry for it. They want it each year, so. It's nice.
Well, it's nice to have that, no question about it. And I think one of the prevailing things that we've gotten from the coaches that have been on the show so far, it's early in the year. Not necessarily that you're taking your lumps, you're learning a lot about your team. You don't want to be hot right now. You want to be hot at the time of the year where you guys have gotten hot, and that's into the 2nd or 3rd week of May. What are some things you expect from the team at this stage of the season?
Yeah, that first game, you know, you're breaking that rust off. You know, it's. The nice thing is they have been playing together for so long. They have a great chemistry, which is great. But it's progress. You know, you learn from your mistakes. Everybody's going to make them, but you learn from them. And it's that growth and that progress day in and day out. That's what's going to get you there in the end.
We talked about it with Avon earlier. You guys also have a turf infield. What is it like having that turf infield? Is it a huge advantage for you guys to when other teams come in, or is it just same thing, different day?
I think a lot of people are going to the turf, so it's more popular now, and a lot of, you know, teams are used to it. You know, the teams that don't have it, that don't play on it on a daily basis, sure, there's a little bit of advantage to it. But we still have our grass outfield, so, you know, they still have that in play. But sure, you know, getting to practice on the turf field every day, you know, compared to those teams that don't, sure, it's nice to have that.
And it seems like every single year, even if you guys lose someone, you have the ability to reload because that program is so strong. Who are some of the newer names you expect to make an impact this year?
Yeah, so currently, we have two girls. We have Selena Bottomley, who is a freshman this year. But we also have Alea Wilson that's going to be traveling with our team. Everybody else lettered last year. Everybody else has that experience, has some playing time at this level. So it's nice. Next year it'll be a different story, but we're living in this year. So Selena is going to make a great impact for us. And the younger girls, we have two sophomore as well in Ella Nichols and Maddie Chinchar. So, we're going to be young next year, but we're going to take advantage of these veterans this year.
Living in that moment and enjoying the moment, something you've mentioned earlier. If I'm not mistaken, is tomorrow's game against Olmsted Falls, is that your opener?
That's our
against
opener.
Falls?
Yep.
Okay.
That's our opener.
So let's talk about that game tomorrow. I'm sure you're probably still very anxious and excited. Every coach says that. No matter how many years you've been doing this, that first game, it's not that you want to get it out of the way, but you just want it to start, right, so you can kind of get back into that flow.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually been talking about it. You get tired of seeing the gym. You get tired of practice. The girls start getting kind of in a lull of, okay, we've done this day in, day out. When is the game going to get here? And we're kind of at that point right now that they're itching to get this game underway. So,
and I'm sure that as the coach, that's got to make you nice and confident going into that game tomorrow, knowing that the girls are tired of just playing against themselves. But I guess along those same lines, what are you seeing in practice that you really like as you guys gear up for that first game tomorrow?
I will tell you the maturity this year is the leadership, the pushing each other and holding each other accountable is nice. That maturity gets you a long way to where they're starting to recognize, hey, we need to take it upon ourselves. We don't need coach to tell us this. We don't need this and that. They're taking it upon themselves and saying, hey, we got to do this.
Nice to have that leadership, man. No question about that.
Who do you expect to lead the Rangers this season that you're really counting on?
Nay's going to do great for us. Like I said, she's got that competitive spirit. We got Gabby Thibodeau behind the plate again. She'll be a 4-year letter winner this year as well. We graduated one starter last year, which was our shortstop, which is a key role, for our infield. But we have quite a few girls that can jump into that role. We have rotation this year to where girls can play multiple positions. And, all the girls know at any given time, be ready, because we're going to make a lot of rotations this year.
It's pretty scary, isn't it? An outstanding team that won 16 games, 12 in conference, made it all the way to the regional final last year, replacing just one starter. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
Says a lot about the strength of the program, Coach. Well, we appreciate you stopping by and joining us. Best of luck to you guys tomorrow against Olmsted Falls and all year long.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this, guys. Appreciate it.
North Ridgeville head coach Amy McMillan joining us here on the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show, coming your way from Smitty's Place in Elyria. Stop on by. We'll be here for a little while longer. Lots of specials. That world-famous Smitty burger. Got to get your teeth sunk into that if you come on down to Smitty's. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back with more here in just a moment on the Lorain County Sports Network. live and free on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us. We're coming your place from Smitty's Place in Elyria tonight, where friends meet. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bullbarch, talking to all the area softball coaches on the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. And we've got our next coach with us. We've got Chad Parsons with the Firelands Falcons. And we figured this would be a fun conversation because last year, just incredible for you guys. I mean, it was something I think people outside of Firelands maybe didn't expect. I mean, for you guys, what a wonderful run that was. Made it all the way to that district title game. 13 wins overall, 8 in the conference. Again, you took some by surprise. Why do you think this year is going to be even better?
Well, first of all, I feel that the experience that we got out of last year's season is going to be crucial in the development of the players on the field with the experience of the big games. And if you look at our scores from last year, we lost a couple games by 1 or 2 runs, and it truly put a desire in these girls' hearts to get better and work harder and learn how to win those games. Sometimes winning can't be taught. It has to be earned. And that's what we preach pretty much all off season. During the start of the softball season, we were telling the girls, want it. You want it. Like when we're on defense now, you're going to hear us yelling, expect the ball, want the ball.
You mentioned the winning culture that has to be earned. Last season, you gave Keystone their first LC8 loss since 2016. What did you learn from that game, and what did your team learn getting that victory against Keystone?
Well, I think we went into that game open-minded. We didn't put no pressure on our girls' backs to perform in that game at all. We kind of practiced, prepared for them, put into work all week, and just focused on the Keystone game. But going into that game, and what we experienced getting out of it was definitely that we can compete with whoever's on that field. Every girl puts their pants on one leg at a time, just like we do, and that nobody is going to come up and just play us. Unfortunately, it's just a good decision.
Got to talk about Jeanette Crawford. Boy, what a season a year ago. I mean, she was so wonderful in so many ways. How do you think she's going to improve upon that incredible sophomore campaign?
Jeanette is a tough girl. She put in a lot of work on off-season, playing travel ball. She pitched a lot this year. She's been just really hitting her spots. She knows where the ball needs to go. Just the experience of being on the mound for a whole season teaches her, don't make that mistake. You could pitch to some girls outside or inside, and we've been just working on telling her, hit the spots, hit your spot. Know where you're going to go, and she's gotten a lot better with hitting all her spots.
Lexi Schrader was one of your big offensive producers last season. Do you expect her to lead the offense this year? Who are some other players that you expect to lead your offense?
Well, I think Sarah Blankenship is going to be a big contributor with the long ball this year. She's opened up the season with a home run already yesterday in our first game of the season. Auburn will also had 2 in-the-park home runs and a triple to start our season off. So those are going to be our 2 heavy hitters as well.
Let's talk about that game from last night, because anytime you have a magical year like you guys had last year, you're hoping that a lot of that will kind of show up that next season. How much do you think that happened in last night's game?
Well, I think starting the game there was a little bit out of position. We started Sarah Blankenship as our pitcher to give Jeanette just a little bit of rest. Still early in the season, we kind of let them have each other have a few innings pitching. I think
Fair enough. Well, look, this is your second year at the helm, right? At
Yeah.
Firelands, last year we had talked and you mentioned, look, still kind of learning the community and getting used to this because you were at Clearview the year before that, correct?
yes,
And
I
then
was helping out.
And then you made your way to Firelands last year. How much more comfortable are you in that position, knowing that community and what all comes along with it?
I think the game has slowed down from the first year. I'm actually getting familiar with the girls after having a full season with them. When we did this interview last year, I was struggling just to make sure I pronounced their names properly and know where they were coming from. And just overall, it's been more enjoyable. I'm able to coach a little more and not be behind a pencil and pushing papers trying to understand the X and O's, and I'm actually being able to coach with the girls.
Is there any newcomers that we should keep an eye out for this season for the Falcons?
We got a new catcher. That was our only starting position that wasn't returning from last year's team. Kylie, she's a junior. She's doing very well behind the plate right now. She has a little bit of experience now. We got her four games under her belt with some scrimmages, and she's been working very hard to learn the position.
Do you let her call her own game, or
we will call our own pitches.
Okay.
Well, she's not at that point yet, but I know her work ethic. She will be able to get to it.
This is always interesting to ask each coach that their version of how they handle this, but you know, how long do you think it could be? I mean, in your mind, in an ideal world, how long do you think it'll be? How many games before she gets to call that game herself?
You know what? I don't really want to put a limitation on it, but
okay.
I would say pretty much throughout the year we're going to be calling our pitches.
Okay. We've got to ask you about that celebratory ice water bath you took when you guys won that district semi game last year. Looked a little frigid, man, but that had to feel pretty good.
You know what? That was a memorable moment for me. I'm still chilling from the cold ice water. And like we was talking, it wasn't Gatorade. It was straight water and ice that sat there for hours, and it was refreshing. Maybe it took me down a peg, and you know I needed that cool down after winning that great game.
That happened in Parma, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you had to sit there soaking wet and freezing cold from Parma all the way back to Firelands.
It was the longest bus ride I've ever taken.
But a good one, right? For all the right reasons.
I'll take it. I'll take that bath any day of the season.
Nice. And one of the things we keep hearing from the coaches is, you know, early in the year, kind of feeling out what they've got, what their opponents have, trying to peak at the right time. It really felt like you guys did that last year. It's one of those things I'm not really sure that you can figure out what the X's and O's of it. But to kind of get a feeling for it and get the girls prepared for that, how do you go about that to make sure they're peaking at the right time?
Well, last year I think we started to peak. We peaked at the beginning of the season. We had a wonderful win against Keystone. And after that, we kind of trickled down just a little bit. I'm not saying the girls got big heads on. I think the energy wasn't there. And so we want to be consistent. That's what we've been focusing on, is consistency. You know, not the errors, just be consistent on offense, defense, and have a good attitude going into each game. And I think that's going to help us out through the season. We learn as we go. Some coaches say one game at a time. I like to say one inning at a time.
Well, you mentioned you played your opener yesterday. Who do you guys have lined up the rest of the week?
We have Olmsted Falls on Saturday, and it's a double header, and then we play Edison.
You guys go down south at all?
We did not.
Okay. Well, sometimes you don't need to go down south, right? Sometimes Mother Nature decides she wants to play nice, and you get all your games in.
The girls want to go to Myrtle Beach, and they've been trying to get that scheduled, but our schedules and school schedules, I have a lot of student athletes that participate in other sports, and it's kind of hard to get them moved around for a whole week.
Oh yeah, and look, you got to point out the obvious. It's not cheap going down to Myrtle Beach either. You got to make sure, you got to make sure you got the funding for it.
Fundraising has to be there, donors have to be there, and we'll be there when all that comes.
No doubt. Well, Coach Parsons, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck to you guys this season.
Thank you guys for all you do. Thank you.
Firelands head coach Chad Parsons joining us here at Smitty's Place in Elyria for the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. Talking Lorain County softball. The season is upon us. Lots of teams have already played. Hopefully a lot more games coming our way over the next couple of days. We'll take a timeout and come back with more here in just a moment at Smitty's Place in Elyria on the Lorain County Sports Network. coming your way from Smitty's Place in Elyria. Having some fun here talking to the Lorain County softball coaches, Jared Vinecourt, Andy Bolbarch with you. Getting you ready for the Lorain County softball season. It's already started for a lot of teams in the area. It's been a lot of fun to talk to a lot of these coaches and get their thoughts on the upcoming season. And, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, but it's so fun to get the chance to talk to all these coaches in this area. This is such a great area for softball.
Absolutely. I look forward to the season here in Lorain County, and I can't wait to see what these teams do.
And not just, from a team perspective. Individually, too, you see a lot of girls going on to play at the next level. Every coach we've talked to, they've had at least one or two girls committed to play at the next level. They've got a lot of Division I coaches talking to them, too. So it's not just, the scope that we're bringing this to you, of course, focusing on the county itself. Lots of people outside the county see just how good the softball scene here is.
It's great that these girls want to jump to the next level because that's a hard commitment you have to do. Student athlete, the student part comes first. So the fact that they want to do that in college just shows how committed and in love they are with the sport.
It's funny you bring that up. When we spoke with Amherst baseball coach Matt Rossitano last year, he had really tried to drive that point home to tell the guys, look, high school baseball is fun, man. You need to enjoy the moment. You need to have fun in high school because if you're lucky enough to go on and play at the next level, if you play baseball in college, it's just not as fun anymore.
Right.
I mean, it's great to have the opportunity to do it, but he said, look, everything's different because you've got to prioritize differently. Now in high school, things are just different, but when you go to play at that next level, I'll never forget him saying this, the coach's job every single year is to recruit somebody to take your spot, and it's your job to show the coach that you don't need to recruit for my spot because I'm just that good. He said there's just so much work that goes into that. Early in the morning, you're up and practicing. Then you go to class. You do all those things that you have to do. By the time you get back to your dorm room, you're wiped out.
Yeah.
And it's just not like that in high school.
Yeah, especially in college, too, because you don't see a lot of two-sport athletes. That's not a thing anymore. So if you're a football and a baseball player in the fall, you're not playing football, you're playing fall ball, and then you're having games, your season's starting in February. It's not late March, beginning of April.
Yeah, look, Coach Rossitano gave us some gold a couple days ago, too, when he stopped by for the baseball coaches show. That was a lot of fun. Hey, sticking with that Amherst theme, we caught up with Amherst softball coach Lacey Reichert earlier today. And Coach Reichert, always great to talk to, some wonderful insight. They're coming off a terrific season where they went to regionals, also lost to the eventual state champs in Austintown Fitch. Took them to extra innings, lost in 9.
Yeah, they give him a fight for sure.
Well, we spoke with Coach Reichert, and we'll go ahead and replay that for you.
We're joined now by Amherst head coach Lacey Reichert. Coach, we appreciate the time as always, and let's jump in by starting with the way last season ended, an extra inning loss to the eventual state champs at Austintown Fitch. Coach, what do you think that says about the state of the program after another incredible season where you guys won 20 wins?
Yeah, I mean, we this year we're going into the season, trying to build off that momentum that we remembered, from the end of last year. And, Austintown Fitch, they're obviously a phenomenal team, phenomenal program. And, what we did against their pitcher, just their team in general, I know the outcome wasn't, we put ourselves with a chance to win that game, but, the girls are excited. I think they know now that they can compete against those kind of teams. And, they've been working hard. Our goal is to now, win as many games as possible and get back to that game and, eventually win that game. But they know now they've got the confidence where, hey, we can compete against that team. We can compete against any team in the state of Ohio. And that's what makes it exciting. I mean, I know, we have two big losses in our lineup with Kristen Kelly and Emma Nagy, and our girls know. I mean, we've been telling them everybody's got to do a little bit more now. So, but we're excited. We're excited. That was even though we lost the game, that was a positive way to end the year and something to build on for this year.
And I know that's certainly something you're looking for in the early stages of practice coming up on the opener tomorrow night. But what are some things you're seeing from the girls in practice these last few weeks? What are some things that reassures you that they're still motivated and they're ready to rock and roll when you guys take on Midview on Thursday?
Oh yeah, they're ready to rock and roll. They're ready to go. And the past, I believe it's the past 2 years, we've gone to Midview and we've lost. I mean, and our girls, they want to get that taste out of their mouth where, we know Midview's a good team and they're gonna throw everything at us and Cassie does a great job over there, but, our girls we don't overlook anything, anyone. We have been, prepping for Midview. Everything we've done leading up to this is for Midview. And then, we'll take it one game at a time after that. And, our girls, like I said, they're focused. They know the task at hand. They're ready to go. So, we just got to keep building on the positives that we've been having in practice so far.
Along those same lines, high expectations for all the reasons we've just mentioned, too. You guys are high atop many polls in and around the area for all the obvious reasons. You guys have a great program, and you're coming off a great year. How have the girls handled that hype so far in the preseason?
Well, it's funny you say that because we just talked about that at practice yesterday. And we told the girls, listen, we haven't done anything yet. We really haven't. I mean, we haven't played a game. You can't, if we're hanging our hat on last year, then everything we're doing is for nothing right now this year, because we're excited about what we did last year, but the girls know this is a new team. This is, everybody's a new team this year. And we told our girls, listen, what the things you read, it's nice that you get that recognition, but understand we got a long road ahead, and we haven't done anything yet. And our girls, they know that. We tell our girls that year in and year out. And they're going to be ready to go. They're going to prove, hopefully down the road, why, the media and teams were looking at us in a positive light to open the season. But, we tell our girls, listen, we got a lot to prove. You got a bullseye on your back, and we got to come out and play, or we're going to get beat. And they'll be ready to go. They'll be ready to go.
You had talked about, how this is a new year, and every season it provides something different. Even though you haven't played a game yet, what would you say are some of the identifiable characteristics with the team that you've seen in practice so far?
I mean, in practice so far, we've been very competitive. I mean, our girls, we go against each other. Everything we do, we try to compete. When we hit live against each other, and if we do those things in practice, the attention to detail that our girls have had. We had a bad practice last week, actually. We had a really bad practice, and we came back the next day, and we explained to our girls, listen, to be really good, to be elite, and to beat the best teams, we can't have practices like this. And they responded, and we had one of the best practices. And we've strung together a lot of really, really good practices. And, our girls are hungry. They're excited. They're doing the right things. I mean, it's, we don't have to tell them to work hard. We're not coaching effort, in the gym or on the field. Our girls are doing that. And we've got 5 great seniors that have been around the varsity program a long time, and they know what it takes to win. And they're being great leaders at practice, great leaders in scrimmages, great leaders off the field. And that's what it takes to win. And I think, we're doing the right things in practice, and it's going to transfer over to the game.
What are some of your major takeaways from the scrimmages you guys have played so far?
I think right now, I don't think it's any secret. Karina Schuster's been lights out. We've had 4 scrimmages so far, and she hasn't given up a run yet. So we're very excited about that. She's very excited. She's put in the time and effort in the off season. I think we've got a lot of girls in our lineup who have gotten a lot better from last year. Every swing they've taken serious, and it's shown. We had a scrimmage against Brecksville, and we didn't necessarily hit the ball very well, but we hit the ball well enough to win it situationally. We got sack flies, we got a suicide squeeze down, like things like that when you're not getting 8, 9, 10 hits a game, you're going to have to execute situationally, and we've done that in scrimmages. Defensively, we're playing well. We're running the bases well in scrimmages. We're taking extra bases when we can. We're using our team speed to our advantage, which, I mean, it's tough to coach against speed. It's tough to play against speed. There's, not much you can do to prepare for it, and we've been using that to our advantage too.
Amherst head coach Lacey Reichert joining us. Coach, do you have any newcomers that have kind of been turning heads in practice, and do you expect we're going to make an impact this season?
We have a freshman that she's going to come out and see some time in left field. Her name's Samantha Pierch. We have another girl vying for an outfield spot. She's a sophomore. Her name's Freya Servance. She finished up the year with us as a role player on varsity during our tournament run last year. And then, I mean, everybody else is a returning varsity player, whether starter or sub. So, I mean, we've got some older girls that are going to mix well with our two younger girls.
Well, now that we've talked about the newcomers, let's talk about those that are returning. What kinds of progression have you seen through practice these last few weeks with those who are returning this year?
Well, in practice, we're not having to, where last year we had 4 freshmen on the varsity. So practices looked a little different, especially when we went over stuff situationally, when we had to break stuff down, make sure we were positioned in correct spots. This year we're a little past that because, we've got our whole infield back other than Kayla Rhodes playing first base, which she's played first base in travel ball pretty much her whole life. So, but practices, we're a little above where we were last year. We're a little past where we were at this point last year because everybody's a year older. Our freshmen and our sophomore that are new have fit in nicely. They're grasping things, situational count, stuff like that, like we work on when we're hitting live. These girls know this. They know this. And, we're not having to do a ton of rah-rah motivating these kids right now because they all were there last year for the most part, and they all know what it takes to get back there. So we don't have to spend a lot of time telling these kids, you have a chance to do this, and that. They know. They're hungry, they're excited, and they're ready to go.
How many girls do you have committed to play at the next level? I saw not too long ago your catcher committed to play in college. How many kids do you have that are committed right now to play in college?
Yeah, right now we have 2. We have our senior center fielder, Allie Jackson. She's committed to Lake Erie College. And we have Isabella Thomas-Friend, our senior catcher, who, like you said, is committed to Mount Union. So we have those 2 as of right now.
Nice. And I know we've talked about it before with Midview coming up on Thursday. I know you're chomping at the bit to get going. Outside of the opener, do you have any games circled on that schedule that you're really excited about as we get going?
No, every game. We're excited about every game at this point. We really are. I mean, we want to win the conference championship again. So every conference game is huge. I mean, I guess our girls are super excited to go to Myrtle Beach at the end of the week. So that's, they have that circled on the schedule. Just we're heading down there to play 4 teams from out of state. But we tell our girls, you have to take every game. You have to have the same approach to every game. You can't play the opponent. You got to play the game. Because when you start looking at opponents, that's when some days you play well, some days you don't, and your performance fluctuates. And that's when upsets happen, and that's when, those games you can't get back. So we approach every game the same, and every game's huge. Every game's important. We got a tough schedule this year. The conference is loaded. So we got to be ready to go every day.
Outstanding. Well, Coach Reichert, we appreciate the time as always. Best of luck against Midview on Thursday, and safe travels down to Myrtle Beach.
All right, Andy. Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this.
Welcome back out to Smitty's Place here in Elyria for the Lorain County Softball Coaches Show. Having some fun here on the Lorain County Sports Network. He's Jared Vinecourt. I'm Andy Bull-Barch. Well, this just flew right by, man. I mean, we talked to a lot of coaches here today. Very excited about the start of the season. We're excited about the start of the season as well. Had a couple of coaches on the docket. We were hoping we're going to somehow, some way make it here, but they got games today. I think they played at like 4:30, so doesn't look like they're going to make it. Best of luck to those coaches who are playing today. It's freezing out there, man. It's frigid.
Yeah, I'm an umpire, and I still don't like staying out there in the cold.
You're an umpire, huh? Oh, jeez. That's got to be tough, especially in conditions like this.
You're wearing like 5 layers, or at least I'm wearing 5 layers because I'm a freeze baby. Can't handle the cold. Can't handle the cold, Edwin.
You grew up in this area, right?
Yeah.
So you're used to it.
I
You
still don't
can't.
like it.
Yeah, well,
I still don't like it.
Gets worse as you get older, man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
All right, well, like we said, we've had a lot of fun talking to all the Lorain County softball coaches here today. Want to remind you that coming up on Saturday, April 5th, we've got a triple header of baseball coming your way here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We will be broadcasting live from the Pipe Yard in Lorain. 11 a.m. is the first leg of that triple header. It'll be Elyria taking on Lorain. Game 2 at 1:30, Avon Lake taking on Firelands, and then we'll bring it all to a close. A 4 o'clock first pitch, open door, taking on Clearview. Again, you can catch it right here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We're excited about this because we get the chance to broadcast some baseball for the first time. That will be a lot of fun. You get to handle the play-by-play for that last game between Open Door and Clearview. Should be a good one.
Yeah, and you get the first two when we get to expose Lorain County baseball, expose the Pipe Yard, and just bring fulfillment for Lorain County baseball.
Yeah, just one last part of this plan. We've got to make sure that it doesn't rain, right?
Yeah.
Get us just enough sunshine. We'll be nice and toasty in that press box of the Pipe Yard, but we need it to be nice enough out there so that way we can get this thing going.
As long as there's no puddles in the outfield, we should be fine because the Pipe Yard has an infield turf, but you never know with Northeast Ohio weather.
Yeah, I mean, the Pipe Yard's got that infield turf, and they also put in that new drainage system in the outfield last year to assure that they could get as many games in as they possibly can. So hopefully we'll get some cooperation. The weather will be nice enough for us, and we'll have the opportunity to, again, bring you all 3 of those games. Again, 11 a.m., 1:30, 4 o'clock, a triple header of action showcasing 6 teams from the county. Make sure you tune in here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Look, we can't forget to mention this either. We're all incredibly excited about being Lorain County's new radio home for the Guardians. WOBL, 1320 AM, 107.7 FM. And if you've been tuning in, you heard some of those spring training games. Cactus League play is over, and tomorrow they start to play the games that count.
4:05 p.m. against the Kansas City Royals in Missouri. I am so excited for the start of the season for the Guardians.
We've talked a lot about the weather today. They're saying 80 degrees in Kansas City for the lid lifter tomorrow afternoon. 80 degrees.
Well, they better be ready for Tanner Bobby's arm because he was hot all season long last year.
Yeah, how about the Cactus League he put together? I mean, I think we all kind of figured he would be good, and you don't have to be great in his position because you know what you're getting from him. He was lights out, sub-2 ERA down in Arizona, only appeared in 3 games. Of course, he was rewarded with a nice contract extension. He's getting paid pretty handsomely for those last 3 years in arbitration. They get 2 of his free agent years, too, at the end of that contract, which runs through 2030. There's a club option for that final year. But still, you have a guy now locked up who is expected to be the ace of the staff, if not the ace, I think at least right now.
Yeah.
He's looked at as the backbone of that pitching staff. And that could be a strength for this team. Last year it certainly wasn't because it was wildly unpredictable outside of Bybee and Lively. You never knew what you were going to get. All the more impressive that they made the run that they did. But that
without Shane Bieber.
Without Bieber, I mean, look, I think this year's could be as great as it was last year. I think the pitching staff will be just as good, if not better, because that bullpen, hard to believe, it got stronger with the addition of Junis. And I mean,
that bullpen was in a league of their own last year.
They're going to add McKenzie to the fray also. Probably not a bad move, and it is a last-ditch effort to get something out of a guy that just can't rediscover the fire of old. He's in a position now where he's got to find a way to make that bullpen role work. Otherwise, his tenure with the Guardians is going to be over, and it's too bad that it's come to this. But he just didn't have a great spring. He didn't outperform anybody else that's going to be in that rotation. But given his arm injuries, I think this is a good move for old Sticks. I think this could be something that sticks for him.
No pun intended, right?
Well, right, of course.
I mean, you see it in some starters, they start, they do great, then they have a hiccup, go to the bullpen, and then they have a chance to come back into a starting role. That might happen for McKenzie, that might not. But with any arm we can get will be valuable for them.
Yeah, and look, the core four in that bullpen will be back. They'll be great. And they've added some veterans to that group also. So the bullpen should be strong. I think they made some sneaky good moves there also, knowing that I just don't think it's realistic that all four of those guys are going to come back and be just as effective or stay healthy too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you never know.
Right, all four of those guys were healthy last year. They were great last season. So I think it's safe to say that they're planning for, if not some regression, they're planning for injuries that certainly happen along the way. Logan Allen had a great spring. He won the final spot in that rotation. You won't see him against Kansas City. He'll make his first start next week when they take on the Padres. Going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, especially with their new bats, their new additions. They just got Nolan Jones from the Rockies, and they signed Carlos Santana back for his third time with the club. Should be interesting to see what those bats do in the lineup.
Yeah, that's the wild card in all this, right? Because you lost the right side of your infield with the trades of both Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez. So it's going to look a lot different there. It looks like Gabriel Arias is going to get the nod at second base, or at least he'll get a healthy chunk of the opportunities. First base, Carlos Santana, Kyle Manzardo. I think there's a lot to be excited about there. Manzardo hit the cover off the ball this spring. Going to take Santana a while to warm up, but it always does. He never gets hot till May anyways.
Yeah, it takes him a while.
Every year it seems like it's that way with Santana, but the other day he mentioned, look, the home opener is actually his birthday.
Yeah.
So he's fired up. Turns 39. He's ancient in baseball years at 39, but he can still sling it a little bit. He can move around pretty well. First base was a Gold Glover there a year ago, and he showed some pop last year.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. I remember back in 2010, I believe, it was a July baseball game at Progressive Field. He walked it off against the White Sox. It's the only walk-off experience, and it was from Carlos Santana.
Yeah, so hopefully Slamtana's back and ready to go this season. But again, make sure you tune in to WOBL tomorrow, Lorain County's new radio home for Guardians baseball. That's 1320 a.m., 107.7 FM, WOBL. We've got you covered with the Guardians all season long. That's a wrap on this year's 2025 Softball Coaches Preview Show. We've had some fun here today, my friend.
Yeah, it's been great these last 2 days covering baseball and softball in Lorain County. Looking forward to the season, and it was great to be with you these last 2 days, Andy.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, Jared. Looking forward to hearing your play-by-play for that baseball showcase, that triple header in Lorain, Saturday, April 5th. Hard to believe, man, but that's 10 days away. We are knocking on the door. Well, a lot of people to thank before we get out of here tonight. First and foremost, we want to thank all of the coaches that showed up here today. As we talked about a few moments ago, there are some games going on today. It's cold out there. These guys have got to show up to practices, and they've got to make sure that they have all their ducks in a row because some of these coaches are getting ready for their opener tomorrow. So it takes time to come out here and talk to us for a few moments. We certainly appreciate all the coaches that showed up here today for making some time to get on down here and talk to us. Big thanks to all of you and best of luck to all of you. Smitty's Place here in Elyria, man. Always love coming out here. Wonderful place. It's where friends meet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful place to come on down here. We mentioned all the specials tonight. Smitty Burger, you can't miss. Tonight they got the roasted corn and shrimp chowder, mac and cheese bites, sauerkraut balls, boom shrimp. A couple days ago they had sloppy Joe Tots. They've got something for everybody out here at Smitty's Place in Elyria. Stop on by even when we're not here because, again, it's Smitty's Place where friends meet. Our thanks to the entire crew here, man. Pleasure to work with absolutely every single one of these guys. Dave Rivera put the schedule together. He put all this together, contacted the coaches. We appreciate Dave and all of his hard work. Max Drummond working the camera throughout the night. Working the camera is a tough job, man, because he somehow makes you and I look good. The captain of our ship, Edwin Vereen, our director, getting us on and keeping us on. My thanks to Jared Vinecourt for all of his hard work as well. That's going to do it here from Smitty's Place in Elyria for our 2025 Softball Coaches Show. A huge thanks to all of you for tuning in as well here on the Lorain County Sports Network. For Dave, Max, Edwin, and Jared, this is Andy Bolbarch saying thanks again for tuning in to the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Have a wonderful evening.